Hello everyone and welcome to my highly anticipated and requested review on this Jaclyn Hill palette from Morphe. You guys, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I don't watch Jaclyn Hill. I don't hate her, but I don't love her. She's a little too much for me. But that's okay. She's one of the top beauty people on YouTube, like clearly. She's very loved. She's worked with multiple different companies to do collabs and everything. My opinion on her has nothing to do with this palette. As far as I can tell, she seems like a very nice person, and I'm always very happy to see YouTubers get collaborations with actual like big companies like this. Like, that's really exciting to see YouTubers get recognized for all of their hard work and everything. So if you came here to see me hate on her palette, this is the wrong video for you. I'm just gonna say straight up, because you guys, it's a good palette. It's a really good palette. It has its flaws for sure, but overall, like, these are the kind of colors that I personally love, and I use these colors all the time. So for me, like, this is a very good, well-rounded palette. You can come up with some great nude looks. You can come up with great, like, punchy, poppy, colorful looks, day, night, whatever you want with this palette. I feel like it's here for you. Now, I feel like, and I could be wrong, any of my darker skinned viewers out there can definitely correct me, but I feel like this palette might be a little bit redundant, because even on my lighter skin, this section up here is very redundant. I see the want for these shades, but these 8 right here, no, maybe these 7. How about these 7? It's like, we didn't need all of these. Even bringing it down to 6 of these, you know, these 2 shades, I did not need both of these. And these 4 transition-y type shades, I did not need all 4 of these, and I think there could have been some good replacements in there. Like a matte highlight shade is definitely missing from this palette. We're definitely also, because there are some cool shades in here, but we're missing a cool transition shade. So I think that could have been added instead of one of these. I think these 2 colors are a bit redundant. I also think that these 2 shades are really not good. The black is okay, you know, it's more of like a charcoal gray kind of a color. It's okay. I've used much better. And this purple shade sucks. It's absolutely horrible. Like, really, it's not pigmented, it's patchy, just bleh. This one did not work out. But that being said, these are such good quality shadows. I know a lot of people have a problem with Morphe shadows. I don't know the way that they produce things. I don't know enough about that kind of stuff to actually talk about it. So for me, I'm just talking based on my experience with eyeshadows in general. These are fantastic quality eyeshadows, and they are dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. Now, I know this is a more like expensive palette. You know, you get 35 shades in here and it's $38. I think you can do the simple math in seeing that it's only a little over $1 per shadow. Like, that's nothing. It's 68 cents a gram, which in comparison to so many other palettes that are like very mainstream and everything here on YouTube, I'm talking, you know, Too Faced, Urban Decay, all that kind of stuff, those are always in like the $2.50, $3, $4 range, even when we're talking about like Anastasia Beverly Hills. So this being under $1 per gram, whoo! Now granted, because this has Jaclyn's name on it, it is more expensive per gram. The very famous Morphe 350 palette, this has the exact same amount of shades, they all weigh the same, but this is only 41 cents a gram. So there's a 27 cents per gram difference between the normal Morphe palettes and then the Jaclyn Hill palette. I'm assuming it's because, like I said, this is a collab, it's got Jaclyn's name on it. I don't know if it had to do with all of the time that she says that she spent repressing and reformulating all of these pigments, because you guys, like I said, I don't know enough about making eyeshadows to be able to talk about it. I've seen people talk about, you know, how much it costs, how many samples you get per shade, and then how much extra it costs to do more reformulations and this, that, and the other thing. So I don't know if that upped the prices, because Jaclyn said there were quite a few shades in here where it's like, she kept saying, no, send it back, send it back, send it back. I don't know, maybe that has to do with the slight increase there, but then it's like, I also don't know. I'm assuming, I could be totally wrong, but I feel like cardboard packaging would be cheaper to produce than the normal plastic packaging that you get with a normal Morphe palette, so it seems like maybe a corner was cut there too in order to cover for costs of Jaclyn. I don't know. Like, I'm speculating completely. That being said, I personally like cardboard packaging better than this kind of a plastic. This plastic just feels like kind of cheap and flimsy to me. I mean, cardboard feels flimsy too, but I don't know, it just like feels nicer in the hand for some reason. I like that you can bend it back. Now the actual palette itself, Morphe palettes do not come with a mirror in here, which I feel like for a $38 palette, it's like, ugh, I wish, and because it's cardboard, like I feel like maybe they could have put a mirror in here cost-wise, but what do I know? I don't know anything about manufacturing in that, so that's just something that I like, is a mirror in my palettes. It is magnetized. The magnet isn't like super strong, like there's no, you know, you kind of have to make sure that you like kind of push down on it, but you know, it does fine on closing. You can see it does get dirty pretty quickly just because it is white. I also very, very, very much wish that the eyeshadow names were written on here. Now, if I didn't have a channel, that really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But since I have a channel and like doing tutorials and stuff, it's just an absolute pain in the butt to not have these labeled or anything and have to be like, so now I'm using the 3rd row, 5th shade from the what, like, it's just a pain in the butt for me. I feel like it makes it more complicated for you guys because even then it's like, even if I do know the name of the shade, like what, this one here, I think it's called Pool Party. Even if I say, okay, now I'm gonna go in with the shade Pool Party, it's not like you guys can look down at your palette and be like, okay, she's using this shade, because your palette's not labeled either. And I know some people got lucky and Morphe sent like a little card that had all of the shadow names on them, so they were able to just like tape it on the top of their palette. I wish I was that lucky, but I did not get one of those labeled cards, so that's that. All that being said, you guys, these shadows are awesome for the most part. You know, like I said, there are some that are kind of duds for me, but overall, Morphe shadows, you know, based on this palette and the past palette that I've tried out from Morphe, the 350, these shadows go on so beautifully. They are pigmented, they are creamy, they are soft, they are super blendable for the most part, you know, like this one, ooh, not blendable. But overall, they just do a fantastic job with their shadow formulation, I personally think, especially for such a cheap price. And Morphe shadows last on me all day. All day. I do have to use a primer. I always have to use a primer with eyeshadows. I just have very oily lids, but when I do use my normal primer, these stay on all throughout the day. Sweat, humidity, I don't care. These are going to be there at the end of the day, and they're going to look maybe 1% worse, you know, than when I first put them on. They really do last, and they do a great job on me. Now, you do have to be careful with quite a few of these shades. There is quite a bit of fallout with some of them, so you just have to be cognizant, you know, tap off your brush. Sometimes, you know, like with this purple shade, that didn't help and I still got a bit of fallout, but I think just being cognizant with it, you know, you can make it work. I just think this is a beautiful mix. Like, I know a lot of people have been saying we have these colors, and yeah, like you can see with the new Anastasia Subculture palette, there are quite a few similarities in here. However, there's also a huge difference in the actual quality and workability-ness of the eyeshadows. Same with the newish Naked Heat palette. You can see there are quite a few similarities. But from what I've seen, Jaclyn loves red eyeshadow. Like, she's always wearing red-ish type looks, I feel like. I feel like this is such a good reflection of Jaclyn from what I've seen her do for makeup. Like, I feel like this is very true to her. And I think that's what makes it work for me the most, is that it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense together. You can come up with so many different looks. They're not gonna muddy together or get all weird, and you can take a lot of inspiration from Jaclyn. You know, you can look at a ton of her tutorials and you can see exactly where she was going with this. So, do you already have a lot of these shades in your collection? If you've got a decent sized eyeshadow collection with these palettes that I'm showing, you know, like cult classics here on YouTube. Yeah, you do. A lot of these shades are in the palette. Like I showed, you know, I can see a lot of Too Faced in here. I can see a lot of Tarte in here. I can see Urban Decay. But I also see Jaclyn. And this is her palette, you know, like that's what I see, and I can see the value in that, especially for her big fans and viewers and whatnot. You know, that's really exciting to have a palette that she made with all of her colors, and for those people who want to emulate Jaclyn, you know, she is an actual makeup artist, very unlike myself, you know, she knows what she's doing when it comes to makeup and eyeshadows, or at least, you know, she's way more formally trained than I ever have been, and than a lot of her viewers have been, so it's nice to be able to get like a professional look. I shouldn't even put that in quotes, you know? She is a makeup artist, right? I think. I guess she used to work at M.A.C, and don't you have to have like your makeup artist license to work at M.A.C? Right? So I think that's just cool as a non-makeup artist myself, or, you know, as non-makeup artists as a lot of her fans, I'm assuming, are. I think that's really cool to have a curated collection from an actual makeup artist who knows what she's doing. She had a vision for all of these together, and so it's just very easy. It's laid out in a way that makes it very easy for you to create looks, and overall I think it's a really beautiful palette. If you're drawn to these kind of colors and you're drawn to Jaclyn, I don't think you're gonna regret getting this palette at all. There is another restock on the 22nd. It will be the day after I upload this video, so Tuesday the 22nd of August 2017. So if you want to hop on that, I think it's 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will put it on the screen because I don't know off the top of my head the time, but either way, that's when the next restock is. Unfortunately, you gotta be quick. As far as I've seen, this palette has sold out within like the first 5-10 minutes or something that it has been relaunched, but I think with all of the relaunches and everything and the success that this palette has had, I highly doubt that they're gonna stop restocking this palette. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the restocking has to do with building hype and building a want for this palette, but if you are a dedicated Jaclyn fan or whatever the case may be, I think, you know, it'll be worth it for you in the long run. At least I feel like this purchase was worth it because this is a palette that I can definitely see myself using a lot in the future. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I think it'll be even more helpful for you to see the swatches and the actual application. I am swatching with finger and a brush 35 shadows, and then I'm doing 3 talk-through tutorials, so yes, this is a long video. I always include timestamps down below for you guys if you want to skip through certain things. But all of that being said, let's go ahead and hop on into the swatches, into the tutorials, so that you guys can see how these eyeshadows apply just in general through swatches, and then also on the eyes, like actual application that you're going to do from day to day. So hop into that, and then I will see you all at the Alright, hello everyone and welcome to my first mini, well it's not really a mini tutorial, it's a talk through tutorial for the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I have swatched these and I have very mixed thoughts on them. So I'm excited to test them out on my eyes because that's going to tell me a whole heck of a lot more than arm swatches. So to start off, as per usual, I'm just going in with an eyeshadow primer. And then I'm gonna put down a paint pot. This one is Painterly. I'm just gonna very lightly put this all over my lids just to even things out. So to start off, I'm just going to take a fluffy crease brush. I know it looks very used. It's just stained, I promise. There's no pigment on here. Is that a better for a tutorial? So you can really see what I'm doing. Now, this is going to be a very simple look because I feel like with these colors, that's kind of what it's meant for, right? Like an everyday neutral kind of a look. So I'm going to go ahead and take this third one from the left and just lightly tap into that. I'm just gonna sweep this through the crease just to lay down an initial crease transition color there. I don't know, people are always saying, Cassie, we've seen you do this look a million times. I know, but that's because it works for me. And this is so that we can see how the eyeshadows apply on the lids more than anything. I am not and have never claimed to be a makeup artist, so you're not going to get like a double, triple halo cut crease with a backflip from me. Sorry. I don't think anyone is expecting that of me, but then again, sometimes I feel like people are. But there you go, just very light. And then with the shade directly under that last one, I'm just going to lightly dip into this one with the same brush and deepen up the transition color right at the outer edge. And just lightly blend that in. And then I'm just going to take this shade here, the third from the right on the top row, and just pack that onto my brush. It's just a very dense shader brush. And I'm just going to be patting this all over the lid. Woo! Look at that guy. Look at it shine. It's a pretty shadow. I mean, nothing like spectacularly unique or anything, but it's really pretty. And then I'm going to take this shade in the very middle of the third row, and I'm just going to lightly tap into that. Same brush as the last step. I'm just going to put this on the very outer third of the lid. I'm just going to pat that in and then lightly blend it towards the center. And then with a super fluffy flat brush, I'm just dipping into this same color that we used all over the lid, just very lightly, and then using that to blend those two shades together a little bit better. And then to really define things, I'm going to take this shade. It is the second from the right on the second to the bottom row, and I'm just very lightly tapping my brush in that and then tapping off excess. And then I'm just going to dot this and then kind of swoosh it right on that outer portion. And then just drag any excess upward. This is supposed to be a very soft little definition added, so you don't need to go too crazy with it. And then to meld all of that together, I'm using the fluffy brush from earlier to dip into the shade right above that, just very lightly. And starting at the outside, just blend that in the crease. And that should just kind of make everything meld and mesh together in a nicer way than they were before. And then just for a little bit of fun, we're gonna go ahead and take this matte turquoise color here on an angled brush, and we're just gonna pop that along the lash line on the lower lid. And then with a tapered fluffy brush, I'm just dipping into, I think this is the famous pool party shade, isn't it? Or was that this one? I don't know. They're not labeled. And I'm just gonna go ahead and smudge this along the lower lash line as well. And just because I love highlighting my inner corners, I'm just gonna dab a brush into the second one from the top there and just very lightly put that in the inner corner. Alright, and there you go, finished product. I just added like a mint seafoam liner to my waterline to match the shadow on the bottom, and then I did, you know, liquid black liner, and then I also added mascara, and I really like the way that this turned out. I know I do this kind of a look a lot, but it's because I really like the way that it looks. I think the shadows blended really nicely. I think they were the perfect amount of pigmented, but not too pigmented, so I couldn't blend it. I think I got some nice soft fades, but still some good pigment. I think it turned out really nice. Not to toot my own horn, but as always, toot toot, am I right? Alright you guys, hello, time for my second tutorial here, slash my second time going into this palette. I think today I'm just wanting to go with something kind of bronzy, kind of earthy. We'll see how this does. So I'm using the shade Gig from Milk Makeup. Just gonna pat this on both of my eyelids to get them primed. Sometimes I forget that a little bit of this goes a really long way. So to start off, I'm going to go in with this forest green here, the middle color in the bottom row. Now this one's swatched horribly on my arm, both with the brush and with my finger, so I am kind of nervous to be trying this one out, but also this is one of the ones where I'm like, I need to know if it's just an arm swatch thing or if this is going to be bad on the lids. And see, I think this is going to work out great on the lids. So, good job, Cassie, for giving it a shot. Sometimes that's just the truth of the matter. Arm swatches are one thing, and then eye application is a completely different beast. So basically, I mean, I'm just putting this foresty green color into my crease here, concentrating the majority of the pigment onto the outer portion. Just went in for another little dip there because this side needed a bit more of that on the outside to kind of deepen that up, and then I'm just gently dragging any excess a little bit upwards so that you can see it above the crease, and then also just a little bit towards the centers. See, even though that was super patchy and disgusting on my arm, it is not skipping or looking terrible at all on my eye, so yay! And now I'm going to go into this beautiful bronzy copper right above that green color, and I'm just gonna pack this onto a brush, flat shader brush to be more specific, and I'm gonna be putting this on. Okay, so it's like exactly almost the same color as that base. Good. And I mean that, I'm not being sarcastic. That is the color that I wanted, so I'm just kind of putting this on the inner half of the lid, reinforcing that base color, and then just kind of patting any excess towards the outside. And I'm just gonna use my color switch and get a bit of that gold off, and use the same brush to dip into this shimmering foresty, greeny, teal kind of a color. And I am going to be putting this on the outer third slash half. I think I'm putting it on the outer third for the most part, and then blending towards the center to make it a half. So I went ahead with a Q-tip, dipped in some micellar water, and just cleaned up where I had put that milk pigment in the corners of my eyes because that was driving me crazy. So I'm just making sure that that area is dry now, much better. And now with the same crease brush as before, I'm gonna dip into this kind of like deep reddy brown color, and then also this one that's right next to the teal that we used, or the foresty green color that we used earlier. So just kind of mixing them both, and I'm just gonna be patting this right in the outer corner, just to kind of deepen that up and give it a little bit of warmth. Subtle difference, but you know, it makes a difference there. Then, don't call me crazy quite yet. I think this is gonna work, but I'm gonna use this kind of marigold yellow color. I'm just getting a very little amount of it onto a fluffy brush. And I'm just gonna put this right above the green. Fluffy brush and dipping it into this shade right here, just very lightly. And I'm going to use this to really blend that green and that yellow together, and just to kind of blend out the crease color in general. So, have I lost you guys yet? Can you see it? Can you see the vision coming together? I'm trying, you guys. So now, just to bring back some of that green and everything, I'm gonna go ahead with an angled brush here, an angled liner brush. I'm just gonna dip into the green and then also the black color in here. And then I'm going to line my crease, basically. Right? Is this what they call a cut crease? Am I doing it right? But you see, that just kind of brings that definition back since we had blended it out earlier. And I don't want this line to be like super duper sharp, so I'm just kind of feathering it out in both directions. And then also creating a kind of cat eye shape with it on the very outer edge. And there we go, there it is. And then I'm going to be taking this reddish color here. It is the third from the right in the middle row, and then mixing it with this brown down here, the second from the bottom. And I'm just gonna run this along my lower lash line. And then, y'all know me, still same old C, but I've been low-key hated on. Anyone? No? Okay, I'll stop. Go ahead and use this yellowy highlight color and pop that in the inner corners. And there you have it, folks, all finished up. This is kind of a look that I had wanted to do with the Subculture palette from Anastasia and just wasn't able to get. but I think I got it. Yay! And I'm kind of digging it. It's a little artsy fartsy, I guess, with the colors, but I think it turned out good. I just went ahead and finished it up with some liner in my waterline. So I took like a plummy burgundy, did the inner half with that, and then on the outer half I just used a not a dark brown, but like a darker brown, I guess. And then I put liquid liner, just really skinny black liquid liner on the top, and just kind of winged it out right underneath at the bottom part of where I did that green stuff. So there we go. What do we think? What do we think? Do you guys hate it? Is it awful? I like it. It's something a little different, a little fun, and sometimes that's what I like to do. Alright, hello everyone. Time for my last talk through tutorial with you all. We will get you zoomed in. As always, I'm just gonna go ahead and prime my eyelids with the balms, put a lid on it. And because I'm gonna be doing a purple look today, I'm gonna go ahead with my Milk Makeup eye pigment stuff in the shade Rave. Just need the itty bittiest bit for this. Even the itty bittiest bit might have been a bit much. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on the outer portion and then just kind of dab it very lightly towards the inside. So most of the pigment is on the outside. So to start, no surprises here. I've got a very stained fluffy brush, and I'm just going to take this shade, the very middle on the top row, dip into that very lightly, and then just put this down as a transition-y type shade in my crease. Sorry, do you guys want to be a little more zoomed in? Using the same brush and just dipping it lightly in this sort of mauve brown shade, second from the right in the middle row. I just lightly tapped my brush in there, and I'm going to be putting this on the outside of the crease, just kind of blending it out and up and slightly in. With a flat, fluffy shader brush, I'm going to go into this shade here on the very far right of the top row, and I'm just going to lightly dip into that and put this on the inner half of my lid. This is why I didn't like ultra concentrate the purple base to the all over my lid, I guess. It's because I wanted to not have purple all over my lid, but it's still nice to have a little bit of that purple base that can peek through this shadow. It makes it a little less pink and a little more pimple. Not pimple, but you get what I mean. And then with a dense flat shader brush, I'm going to go into the purple color here and just kind of pack that onto this brush as best I can. Tap off any excess, and then just really pack this onto the outer half of the eye. Or maybe I suppose we're packing more on the outer third, and then we're blending into the half portion of the lid, right? Trying to create a little bit of a gradient there with the last shadow that we just put on. Alright, so this purple seems to be having some problems with fallout, even though I did tap off my brush quite liberally. It's okay, we'll get it cleaned up there. And to add some more definition in the crease, I'm gonna use like this little tapered pointy brush from ColourPop. Again, it looks dirty, it's just stained. There's no color on this. And I'm going to dip this into the purple color here. I'm hoping that this will have the same results as this matte jade forest kind of a color, in that it swatched really terribly on my arm, but I'm hoping it'll go on really nicely on the lids like that green color did. So I'm just gonna put put this in the very outer little corner there. Put this in the crease. I mean, pigment doesn't seem to be all that spectacular on this one, you guys. It's pretty weak, honestly. I mean, it seems like it's blending pretty fine. It's not having too much trouble with skippiness, maybe just a little bit, but overall, maybe mixing it will help. I'm gonna try mixing it with the black in this palette. Let's see if that'll give me the definition that I'm looking for. I just don't always want black, you know? Sometimes I feel like it's not as effortless looking when I just use black, but I guess that's the way I had to go for this one. Meh. I'm just using this fluffy brush from before. I didn't dip it in anything. I just want to see if I can kind of blend that a little bit better there so it's not quite as patchy looking. There. At least I was able to blend that out. So I'm gonna go in and blend these two again and just do the same thing on this other eye. Now to finish things up, I'm just gonna go ahead with this shade here, second from the right on the second to the bottom row. I wish these were labeled. But I'm just dipping an angled liner brush in that, and I'm going to be smudging this along the lower lash line. Just very lightly, a very skinny line definition. And of course I'm gonna blend that out. I'm gonna use this really just beautiful, I don't even know what to, it's more of an indigo than a blue because it's definitely got a very strong purple pull to it, but I'm just loading this up on a tapered fluffy brush, knocking off the excess, fingers crossed. This could make a big mess very quickly. I'm just gonna smoke this along the lower lash line. And then another, of course, moment. I'm just gonna highlight the inner corners of my eyes with this shade right above the purple. And there we have it, folks. So I just put some nude liner in my waterline and obviously did a wing in my upper lash line with some ink liner, put on mascara, and there we go. There's the final look. I think it's a very wearable, appropriate for day or night, purpley eye look. Yeah, I think I can get behind this. It's soft, but still punchy. I like it. I think everything blended together really nicely. So there you go, you guys. There you have it. My thoughts, my views, my everything on this palette, my swatches, my tutorials. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped you in seeing whether or not you are going to want to buy the Jaclyn Hill / Morphe palette, or ex-Morphe palette, I guess. Like I said, I'm not a fan. I'm not a non-fan or whatever. I don't watch Jaclyn Hill, but even that being said, I really do like this palette. I think it is good quality. I think for the price, they're really fantastic shadows. I mean, even for not the price, I mean, even if I didn't know the price of these things, I would say these eyeshadows are very nice. They're very nice. Like I think I said, I can definitely see this being a favorite palette in my collection for sure. So all that being said, I just hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, whatever the case may be. If you did, please do go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new here, hey, hi, hello, how are you? You can go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content from me in the future. Become a member of my casserole family here on my channel. I would love to have you here. And as always, I just hope you guys are all doing well. And until next time, just stay well until then. Bye!